Hello and welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the number one show on the internet and the masters of your multiverse. I am your host, the Sorcerer Supreme and Master of the Mystic Arts, Lani, and I am joined this week by the despicable Scarlet Scott.
You know what? Okay, cool. I was kind of worried you might try to do something with America Chavez, which no, Scarlet Scott though. I'll take it. I was,
before we really get into that was so jarring. I know it's her name, but just every time they say America can do it. Just fuck.
You know what? Fair. If we're gonna start off with it, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I know her name is America Chavez, but the fact that like half of the lines were, "Where is America? What do you want with America? We have to save America," and I'm like, this is the most patriotic movie I think I've ever watched in my life.
America. It's as American as a Denny's commercial.
I had no idea that Chavez, I had no idea she was even in the movie. I tried to avoid all of the trailers as much as I could because I genuinely just didn't want to get spoiled on anything.
I was pretty good about avoiding spoilers too, aside from the trailer that we saw at the end of No Way Home.
It's actually pretty insane how much you were able to avoid spoilers, considering what was that one movie we saw the Batman and you didn't even know that Catwoman was in it until we got to the theater and I told you.
So. I avoided it. Like, you know what? Honestly, I've been pretty media blind when it comes to social media lately. I feel like it's been beneficial in a lot of ways, but it's also been nice going to theaters and not knowing everything that's going to happen, you know?
Oh yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, I barely knew anything about Everything Everywhere All at Once when I saw it because I actively, aggressively try to avoid any trailers because the moment I saw what it was and what it was about, I was like, yeah, I'm going to see this movie. I do not give a shit. And I'm really glad I did. Watch make sure to watch the Talkcast Podshow about Everything Everywhere All at Once, or just see the movie too. Also do that.
Yeah, definitely see the movie. I'm going to say this flat out. If you have a choice between seeing Multiverse of Madness and Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'd go Everything Everywhere All at Once. Not to say that Multiverse of Madness is bad, it's just not as good.
Yeah, no, if we're talking about which movie that's in theaters that you should be seeing right now that has a multiverse, yeah, see Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's really good. It's really, really good. Definitely not for everybody, though. I can understand that, but really good from my perspective.
But now that we've talked about the better movie, let's talk about,
first and foremost, just gonna touch on a few things that may not get their own subject material in a talkcast here, and a little segment we like to call the rundown. Kaiser, I know that like just before this, you were messaging me saying, do we have to talk about Multiverse of Madness? It's been out for weeks, and Rescue Rangers just came out. I'm like, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Then why the fuck did you want to talk about it?
I told you that we could change the time and or date, and then I was going to watch it.
Fair enough. But what is it that piques your interest about it? I'm curious.
So when I initially saw the trailers, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit of a cynical bastard when it comes to the current landscape of media in general.
No.
Well, I mean, look, we're literally talking about the fifth multiverse property that we've talked about on the Talkcast Podshow alone.
Maybe.
And I'm getting a little bit poisoned by how many cross media properties that Hollywood feels like it needs to make. And the Rescue Rangers film is, instead of actually doing a continuation of the Rescue Rangers proper, the film itself is about what if Rescue Rangers was a show in a universe where the characters are played by actors that look like the actual characters, aka Roger Rabbit. And I thought, hey, that's like, part of me loves the idea of a Roger Rabbit too. I genuinely do.
I would really like to see that, honestly.
Yeah. But it just
a licensing nightmare, but
well, you say that. Considering we have literally the multiverse game, Multiverses coming out, that literally just had a really, really good trailer, but it...
Yeah, but that's Warner Brothers. I mean, it's hard to see Warner Brothers and Disney mixing these days without one devouring the other, you know?
True, but all I'm saying is 5 companies own the world. So 5 corporations own the world. So anyway,
Give it a couple decades.
Yeah, or just one really good agreement. I mean, look, we've already got Spider-Man, who's owned by Sony and Disney, happening. Anyway, it looks like a decent film, like, in general, and I've actually heard some really positive things about it, but my first response when I saw that was, are we really going to get another multimedia film like this? Do we need more crossovers? Because I'll admit, I do like a good crossover myself. I grew up on Marvel vs. Capcom, but it's gotten to the point where I feel like it's just flexing properties. Space Jam 2 is a fucking... it's just such a gross, obvious cash in on all of WB's properties and everything that they own. And so was Ready Player One, and now we're getting this. And I'm sure, again, that's gonna have a lot of really funny jokes. Hell, the trailer alone did have a couple of jokes that made me laugh. And I did literally just watch Free Guy, which... Free Guy was actually way better than I had any right to be, like any right at all. I highly recommend that if you want to watch a fun little film about video games and just Ryan Reynolds being peak Ryan Reynolds, it's really good. Okay. But I don't know. There's a part of me that when I initially saw this, I'm like, okay, so you obviously just didn't believe in in making a real Rescue Rangers film. You just wanted a property that you could call back as a nostalgic property that will probably never get a continuation. So you could make this, again, Roger Rabbit-esque film where there's a big mystery that has to be uncovered by a bunch of characters. And again, I'm just a little bit poisoned by all these media crossovers. I feel like they've been done to death. But I don't know. I'm going to watch it, and I'd like to make a little video about it on my own free time, actually. So you might see that happen, or you might not. No promises. I'm too scatterbrained, and I've got a billion different projects going on. But it'll all come down to what I have time with, and if I have an editor. So
fair enough. Yeah, I haven't been absorbing all that much lately. I've been keeping up on Better Call Saul. I know you still haven't finished Breaking Bad, have you?
But I did just start I just started giving it my full watch through. Still on season 2, so it's gonna be a minute. Actually, I'm just about to meet Saul. He's about 2 episodes out from where I'm at right now. So
yeah, Better Call Saul. In my opinion, like in a lot of ways, I enjoy it more than Breaking Bad.
Interesting.
Yeah. It has one of my favorite antagonists that they've ever introduced. I don't want to give away who it is, but when he shows up, he's just like so disarming and charming. But then like he's like a really charismatic Gus Fring, and it's you might not have met him yet. I don't know how far you originally saw into Breaking Bad, but he's.
Is
Giancarlo Esposito?
Okay. I haven't met him yet. I am very eager to meet him because apparently this was the role that sort of made him.
Yes.
So I'm very eager to get to him.
Yeah. So when you see this guy, the guy I'm talking about is almost a perfect foil to him. Gus is very calm and collected. This guy is very charismatic and friendly and open, but he is an absolute sociopath and he's an amazing villain. I absolutely love this guy. So when you get to him in Better Call Saul, anybody out there that's been watching the show probably knows who I'm talking about. He was actually the guy that played the stepfather in Hawkeye, to give reference.
Okay, that's got me really curious then. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's I'll say this, he's way better in Better Call Saul.
I mean, he was fine for what he was in Hawkeye,
yes.
But yeah, I can see what you mean actually now that you say that.
Yeah, no, he's really cool. And I immediately fell in love with this character. I'm like, oh my God, I need to see more of this guy. I'm really sad that I know he's probably not making it to Breaking Bad years, but
But yeah, so that's pretty cool. There's something else that I felt like I really wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was. I don't know. Watch Ranking of Kings. It's one of the best anime out there right now. I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it until everybody's watched Ranking of Kings.
Okay, I'll watch Ranking of Kings. People keep recommending it to me.
Watch the dub. It's one of the best dubs I've watched in forever.
The trailer for Chainsaw Man came out, and of course it's Mappa being Mappa, and it looks fucking gorgeous.
That trailer's been out for a while, you know. I think they just released like an English version of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Everything I saw was in Japanese, but hey, I saw it and it looks really cool.
Oh, well, yeah, that trailer's been out for a while. It's not actually anything from the show proper. They literally just animated a bunch of sequences to tease that they were making a Chainsaw Man show, but I am really looking forward to it. Totally Not Mark actually just did a full review of the manga, and it was glowing. Just absolutely glowing, and
I've heard nothing but good things. That and what's that new show that just came out? Spy
Family. Yeah, Spy Cross Family, Spy X Family. I'm just calling it Spy Family, like Hunter x Hunter.
Right. I've heard nothing but good things about that since Super Eye Patch Wolf talked about it as a manga. So definitely gonna have to give that a shake at some point.
I want to meet Super Eye Patch Wolf. That guy seems pretty cool.
He has just such a soothing voice. I switched on his, Berserk is over video, and I'm just like, okay, I'm in for an hour and a half of this echo chamber. Tell me how great this thing I love is. Talk me to sleep, you beautiful Irish bastard.
Yeah. Bunch of really, really great. I feel like a bunch of the really great YouTube, like anime tubers, have been coming from Europe lately. Not that there aren't plenty of great ones in the States, but it's really neat.
I think I remember Matt Pat doing a thing a while ago where he said, like, why do European YouTubers get such great exposure? It's because, well, they have multinational crossover appeal. Like how PewDiePie got so big is because he was in Sweden, but he spoke English. So he bridged the gap to America. People over there watched it, which spiked his ratings in Europe, which then spiked his ratings in America again. So the algorithm just kept promoting them back and forth. So
also. Those accents.
They're so good. I mean, I can't. I listen to so many different Irish people on freaking YouTube.
I know, right? It's really funny.
The OSW, like the Old School Wrestling Podcast, 3 Irishmen, Ryan Hollinger, who talks about horror videos, and then Super Eye Patch Wolf, who talks about anime and all sorts of nerd culture stuff. And his Garfield video is insane.
I will never forget that Garfield video. That Garfield video is now will hold a place in my heart as like a quintessential piece of YouTube now. It's perfect. Pun intended.
Yeah. Other than that, been playing the Evil Dead game a bit. It's pretty good. I mean, we played a little bit of Dead by Daylight, right? And I know we played the hell out of Left 4 Dead back in the day.
Oh.
So it's kind of a cross between the two. It's still a little janky, a little like unpolished in places, but one player gets to play as like the Kandarian demon that summons in shit that the players have to, like the hero characters have to deal with. And the hero characters are trying to collect pages of the Necronomicon and destroy them.
Okay, but what part of the game has tree assault? That's what I care about.
All of it, actually.
Oh, God.
You can set up tree traps.
Oh, okay.
They don't do what they do in the original movie,
well,
granted.
That's good.
Yeah, but you can float up to a tree as the demon, just like set trap, and then if people walk by, it's like slap.
That's actually pretty great. I love the idea of a tree that just grabs you out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I played it a bunch last night. Might play a bit more of it tonight. Still haven't gotten a group together to play as the hero team because, God help me, I'm not going to play that game with randos. I have played against teams of randos. It does not work out.
Oh yeah, I bet not.
They are really bad. But the game seems very balanced against the demon.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Like you can do some damage, but it's really hard to win. I think out of like the 4 games I played last night, I won 1.
I think honestly, when it comes to these like 1v5 games, like the what do they call that? The
asymmetrical
games, like the asymmetrical versus games. I actually find myself constantly going back to Left 4 Dead as the quintessential version of that, and unfortunately, I've never found a game that quite captured.
Left 4 Dead is still so good. I mean, we played Back 4 Blood and it just doesn't measure up.
Oh, yeah. Well, Back 4 Blood had a lot of problems between its gameplay and its presentation. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it would just be nice to have another like asymmetrical versus game like that I felt really just... It not only gave you a satisfying game where you honestly feel like you won or you lost, fairly, but also one that just offers more variety. I feel like that's always been a big problem.
I feel like if Evil Dead gets the support it needs, I think it can get there. This feels like a great platform to build off of, but hopefully they get there. I've been enjoying it. I hope I can find other people to enjoy it with me. But enough about Evil Dead. Let's talk about the director of Evil Dead.
Oh, good
and
segue, you
the
bitch.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. It's why I get paid the mediocre bucks.
So we're going to talk about Mom then. All right.
We're going to talk about Doctor Strange and the Mom.
Yeah, which, by the way, really perfect because motherhood is literally a huge part of the movie. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like this movie
it also really works for the porn parody. Just
is that MILFs of Madness? The multi-MILFs of Madness?
Multi-MILFs of Madness. Come on, Brazzers, hire me! I don't need to be talent, but I would not object.
But yeah, I don't actually know where I want to begin because this movie has been out for so long. I feel like there was a part of me that was like okay with not even necessarily doing this and doing something on the Rescue Rangers film, if only because this movie's been out for like 2 weeks and I feel like everyone has seen it or heard enough about it. That being said, do we want to just kind of include spoilers out the gate?
We can jump pretty much straight into spoilers after saying your general opinion, I'd say. I mean, I'd say for me, it ranked about like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. Other parts of it, but overall, I think you can spend your time at a movie theater in worse ways.
Definitely. Like, look, I can absolutely say that it is not a film that you can watch if you're not an MCU fan. I'm going to be completely honest with that because Scarlet Witch's entire story in this movie stems immediately off of WandaVision. This
is the first movie that you really have to be in tune with the Disney Plus series. Yeah,
and I think that's only going to become more of a thing when Kang gets more involved with the MCU because of Loki. So you absolutely need to watch WandaVision before you see Doctor Strange. So this is a film that I absolutely have to say, like, hey, you have to be a big MCU guy for this. You have to not only have watched Doctor Strange, a bunch of the other films, the fucking WandaVision TV series. So I have to say, because I wanted to say something like, oh, well, for an MCU fan, I obviously have to recommend this film. But literally, it's the only people I can recommend this film to. That being said, I can say that it is good. There's so much good in this film, which is frustrating. Because all of the really good stuff in Multiverse of Madness, for me, is then balanced out by a bunch of really mediocre shit.
They made a really good PG-13 horror movie at times.
Yeah.
Like, really good. It's in terms of like some of the horrific kind of shit that happens. It's pretty wild. And that's one of the things I love about Raimi. He can do these horrific things, but they come off in such this like over the top comedic way that they can get that PG-13 rating if he really wants to. It's just hands on the table. Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie of all time. So that's my bias.
How do I put this? For me, by the way, when we talk about it being PG-13/R, this was so like, I think we sometimes
tread the line at times, I feel.
I think we sometimes forget how clean and safe the MCU is. Like, their PG-13 films are only PG-13 because their language, and they do some like kind of dramatic violence from time to time, but it's really fantasy violence. Some people have once said like the MCU is the anime of the West, basically, where it's, it gets a little bit violent, but ultimately this stuff is so easily made for kids. I wouldn't have any problem with my kids watching any of the MCU stuff if I had like a 10-year-old. I would not be bothered. This is probably the first movie where I was like, oh yeah, no, only probably teenagers should watch some of this because there is some shit. But I wouldn't have classified it as like, oh yeah, this could have skirted an R rating at all. There's, except for one shot that is a little okay, but even, and that's, we'll get into that. But when it comes to the actual quality of the film overall, I love so much of it. Artistically, in terms of like, this is Sam Raimi is a director who loves to use his fucking camera. There's so much movement. There are angles. There's so much. He also really loves to play with sound. There are some shots in this that are very reminiscent of Evil Dead. Like in Evil Dead, when Ash is being, tormented by the Kandarian demon in the cabin, you'll like look around, like there are these great zoom shots where he looks around the cabin and there are these really exaggerated sound effects. Like he's looking at the beam of wood atop, like this kind of holding the house up, and you're just getting this kind of like scratchy wood sound, and he'll like zoom in on all this other stuff and just get these really kind of disturbing sound effects playing to show that there's like some psychological mumbo jumbo going on. I do have to say they do that in this. I do have to say I loved the music. Oh man, the music in this, like not a lot of it was incredibly memorable. Like I'm not thinking about like all of the music or humming it to myself, but its use in the movie, I have a thing for the trills that they used.
It was all very complimentary.
Yeah, just all these little trills for when a character is like shocked or something is revealed, and I loved it. I was a big fan of that. And it really goes to show you that the best part of the films are the parts that Raimi had more control over.
I don't know if there are parts that he really didn't have that much control over. Oh,
there are a bunch. There's a bunch, and it's all the parts you'd think they were.
Probably.
America Chavez was not a part of his design. She was put into the film because they wanted to work in America Chavez for one reason or another. I can see.
Look, man, everybody's leaving the MC. Like all the people that people love are leaving the MCU. They need to fill the gaps.
And by the way, I should say that I did do a little bit of research on this, but it's very possible that I could be getting any detail wrong. Like, when it comes to reports on what was supposed to be in the movie, what wasn't supposed to be in the movie, they're always conflicting because everybody's got a source and everybody's reporting. But from what I heard, she wasn't originally supposed to be a part of the design. She was kind of put in a little bit, not late into the process, but late enough that it's like the original goal of the movie was shifted quite a bit. And considering that America Chavez is a main character, that's kind of a problem in two ways. But we see, and honestly, watching the film, America Chavez not originally being a part of the design absolutely feels right, because the film is largely about Doctor Strange and Wanda. I was going to say Scarlet Witch, but yeah, it's about Wanda and
then she's just there almost as kind of like a MacGuffin placeholder.
Yeah, her entire character in the entire movie is a MacGuffin. We get her backstory, which is hilarious, or as I like to say, her beginnings. Watch the film, it makes sense. But it is kind of laughable. And I mean, kudos to them and I don't care about spoiling this necessarily. There's a bit of LGBT representation in the film with America Chavez.
She has moms.
Yeah, she has moms. Again, the movie is about moms. And which is kind of neat. And she also wears this she wears the full LGBT like flag on her at all times, like the full one with the black and the brown and the trans colors, which I'm wondering how that's going to work in China. We'll find out. But yeah, actually, no, I think the film can't show in China for a lot of reasons, not the least of which including all the skulls. That's something you can't have in Chinese films. So I actually think the film may not air at all in China. So that's,
let me see.
Yeah. Anyway,
Strange Multiverse of Madness gets backlash from China. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness got no release date yet. Yep.
About so. Anyway, point being, and also, and this is a bit of a spoiler, so I'm not going to get into any details. There is a certain scene with some cameos halfway through the movie that was out of his control.
I think it's fine to go into spoilers. We gave our general opinion, and again, this movie's been out for a minute.
Yeah, well then let me just give my quick summary of the film. Okay. Like my 2 cents. The film is gorgeous. It's obvious that Sam Raimi wanted to really come back into the comic book film movement. with a full swing of the bat. But there are a lot of places where you can tell that MCU control, the need to fit in stuff just to make sure everything is interconnected.
Corporate meddling.
It really hampers some of the better parts of this movie. I do enjoy it, and I think anyone who's a fan of Sam Raimi is going to find a lot to love here, and I think that people who want to see a little bit more horror in their Marvel films are also going to find a lot to love here. It's kind of interesting, some of the parts that it kind of feels like at one point Sam Raimi responds to the corporate overreach in a very satisfying way. So at the very least, while the film does have corporate meddling, Raimi does the best with what he has, and it's a pretty satisfying film with some really cool shots and creative ideas throughout. I do unfortunately feel like if this is the best we're going to get out of some of the best directors that the MCU can find, it unfortunately leaves me a little bit gutted because I fear for the future of the MCU.
Yeah, it does feel like we're jumping into kind of an era of, like, we obviously hit the climax with Infinity War and Endgame, and it was going to be difficult no matter what to get beyond that. And I feel like what's happening right now is what happened almost directly after the Disney animation renaissance, where they're just going to keep trying to throw things at the board until something sticks, and either something is going to work out and it's really going to work for them, or they're going to have to wait and see what the next fad is going to be. It is possible that superhero films, while I'm certain they won't go anywhere, in the next 5 to 10 years might not be the mainstream thing anymore.
Well, I think they're trying to do their best with what they've got, and they're trying to build up something for Secret War. And having a bunch of multiverse stuff is really interesting, but ultimately it's really kind of just handicapping their ability to tell good stories. I remember Iron Man. Iron Man is not the glowing perfect film like we'd like to hold it up as, years later. But damn it, it felt like its own thing. Like it didn't have to be a part of anything in particular. It stood alone and had an attitude and feel that was very much a part of the director. Why am I forgetting the director's name? Jon Favreau. It felt like something that Jon Favreau would make. And now we get a film that feels like Sam Raimi was doing his best to make it all his own, but he can't. He just can't anymore. We're so in deep. This is the same problem I've always had with comics. We literally did with comic book movies what comics unfortunately fell into by crossing everything over. You're never going to get its own strong story anymore. Hell, even Shang-Chi is plagued with bullshit.
Yeah, and it all feels really directionless right now because of that, because you have all these new characters that you're introducing and all these old characters that people already know and love. And while, yeah, I know it's kind of the point that they don't want them all meshing immediately, like they aren't going to jump straight into new Avengers territory, but it does feel a little directionless. And until we get something that kind of ties it all together, it's hard to say exactly where we're going with this and what's actually happening. So you're just kind of along for the ride and just hoping that things work out. Yeah. It almost feels a bit like what they had with Star Wars when Disney first bought it, where they're just like, yeah, let's just fucking throw everything at the wall. Just go. Yeah. And still haven't really worked their way out of that hole. But who knows? Spoiler time. Yeah,
let's jump into the spoilers. Let's get right into the mix. So, America Chavez is introduced in this film, and she's like right up at the front there with Steven. And I have to say, this film throws a lot of proper nouns at you, like immediately.
I felt like this movie was nonstop.
Yeah.
Like every scene was either I'm going to explain a bunch of bullshit to you really quick, or there's a bunch of really weird shit happening.
Yeah. You're immediately thrust. Like here's the thing. I've seen a large vocal, I think minority, but maybe more than that, of people say the film was boring, and maybe it's only boring because it throws a lot at you, and it's like, no, we're going whole hog into this. We're just going to jump right into the plot and move. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll just get right into multiverse hopping madness. And I could not believe that we got the villain reveal like that. It was actually kind of neat for them to be like, yeah, no, this is the actual villain. And the fact that they were able to kind of like keep that a secret in the trailers was sort of impressive.
I was surprised because, like I said, I had avoided all media. I didn't realize Wanda was the bad guy.
That, by the way, like I said, Sam Raimi, obviously, like, the reveal was gorgeous. That fucking Bloodborne ass scenery after like Wanda's like, okay, yeah, no, all this is a fucking illusion, and then she reveals that they're standing in this just absolutely decimated, like, again, it looks like straight out of Bloodborne. Holy fuck.
It also gives some credence to Doctor Strange, because I remember like one of the lines right before when he's like looking at like the leaves, like the branch on the tree, is like, this looks real.
Yep.
And it's like, she's like, it's because it is. And he's like, but then you realize when it's none of it's real, he's like, aha, I knew there was something up.
Well, that's sort of interesting too, because it's it kind of goes to show that she's becoming
very powerful.
Yeah, she's becoming incredibly strong. And I think that's really cool. Like, it's a great way to show early on, like, oh, she might actually be kind of a match for Strange. And we very quickly find out that because of her use of the
Necronomicon is just all that it was ever labeled in my head. Yeah, that's essentially basically what it is.
I forget what it's called. It's the Darkhold.
The Darkhold. Okay.
Yeah, the Darkhold. Through the power of the Darkhold, she has become super duper strong, and which, by the way, we see her get into that at the very end of WandaVision, where she's using this book and doing some creepy shit. I will say this. I want to get this out of the way. Making her the villain, A+, absolutely about it, 100%. Because as far as Wanda goes, I felt like she was always a character that could absolutely be a good guy turned villain. She works really well for that. It's not like it's not like they haven't done it in the comics. However, I will say, it kind of sucks that we get an entire series about her struggling to do the right thing, her doing the right thing, and then the first time we get to see her after the series, no, she is just full-on villain. And I get why. They explain, like, oh, the Darkhold has taken basically her down this morally gray route, straight down, just full-on dark.
Why didn't she grow the third eye?
That's a good question.
Oh wait, she had that like thing on. Maybe it was there.
Yeah, I am kind of curious why she didn't grow the third eye.
Really bad CGI third eye.
That looked really bad, right? Okay,
may as well have drawn it on.
Yeah. Part of me actually wonders if the third eye is something to do very specifically with Doctor Strange. That it's very possible. Maybe. Because both that one Doctor Strange from the universe that was impacting on itself, like he had it, and then Doctor Strange ends up getting it later. But yeah, it's sort of interesting. But anyway, the fact that we get straight into, oh no, she is full on a bad guy, was a little dissatisfying. It didn't kill the film for me, but it did it distracted me from the story that they were trying to tell with her, which was a story I really could have gotten into. The idea of she saw her children, she wants the children that she imagined back, and she has dreamt them in another universe. Which, by the way, I also really liked the idea of all those dreams you've ever had, those are peeks into other universes. Well, that's cute. I like that. Also
leads to a lot of questions. Who was the father? Was it Vision? Can he reproduce?
Don't talk about Vision. The film doesn't.
It's true. And it's fucking weird that it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the Vision we knew is gone.
But there's still albino Vision out there, and that's fucking weird. Like, albino Vision is literally somewhere out there, somewhere, and now Wanda, again, we are deep into spoilers.
Maybe he's out in the universe doing some, like, Dr. Manhattan bullshit. Like, we just don't know where the fuck he is and where he went.
Yeah, I guess so. And Geo Emperor here, I'm not going to count this as a spoiler, saying, yes, it is a reference to the Eye of Agamotto. So, yeah, I guess it might just be a thing that the Senor Strange gets.
Okay, well, it looks stupid.
It really does.
It looks awful.
Honestly, having the eye be... it should have just been a vertical slit instead of the horizontal, because the horizontal just looks really weird. And also just having it be one of his eyes. No, it looks bad. It looks very bad. It looked bad in every shot. But yeah, so we never see anything about Vision. We can only assume that he's probably the father, especially since, I mean, they look exactly the same, which makes me kind of wonder.
Although I guess it could also be implied that, you know, she dreamt about those kids at one point. So that's like, you know, oh, in another life, I have these children. So these are the ones that I'm going to create here. So I think that could also be the implication. And we just don't know who Daddy is.
I think, by the way, thank you. You immediately said what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whoever the dad is, there must have been a dad. But yeah, who knows? But the story itself for Wanda came off a little bit flimsy for me.
It goes really quick because this movie is already like nearly 2.5 hours, right? And maybe I'm getting old. I'm really tired of sitting in a movie theater for nearly 3 hours. At a time.
You're not getting old. A lot of people feel the same way. But then that does bring me back to America Chavez has no place in this film. Not in terms of being a part of the film where she's useful, and she is part of the plot. She's necessary to the plot, but her entire character development, she feels so out of place. Like the fact that she has the final fight with Wanda is so what? I understand that she was being chased by Wanda, and ultimately it's up to America Chavez to kind of like fight her. But I just hated that because she never gets enough development. You never feel like you connect with her. She's just there as the MacGuffin the entire movie. So like, I feel if they were going to introduce America Chavez, she needed. Okay, do it every time. It's fine. It's cool. If they were going to introduce America, they really could have done it in another film where it felt like she was the focus and not Doctor Strange with his problems and Wanda with her problems and Christine and her problems and the multiverses and their problems. Sorry.
Yeah, going into this, I thought we were going to be dealing with, you know, more things like Dormammu, Shuma Gorath, and like all the cool multiversal monstrosities that Marvel does have. But we really only see one, and that's about it. And we also only jump into like what, 2 different universes, really?
We jump into, I mean.
We jump into the one where they spend a majority of the time, and then we jump into the one where Doctor Strange fucked everything up. And it wasn't even the guy from What If. Like that was the kicker for me. Is like, wow, you can tie this into What If now. Interesting. Okay, now you have reason. I'm
actually glad they didn't though. We already have
maybe, but I don't know. It makes you. When they do stuff like that, it feels like it justifies your time watching something to me.
Although I guess there is a possibility that actually I have no idea of whether or not Commander Carter is supposed to be the same. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Point being,
maybe multiple universes that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. They're apparently infinite, whatever.
Her universe apparently has X-Men, so that's neat.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do not like multiverse theory when there are infinite, like basically, essentially infinite multiple universes where like anything could have happened. I actually hate that. It's always been something that's really bothered me because unfortunately...
Yes, this was the universe where you had a ham sandwich instead of a grilled cheese this morning.
Well, when you do something, it's kind of like when you heavily involve time travel because it honestly muddies everything up. When you involve infinite possibilities, everything seems less important. And I know everything everywhere all at once kind of touches on a little bit on that about the good nihilism versus the negative nihilism, the positive nihilism of there is a billion different places, but that means, you know, you make your choices matter. They matter to you. They affect you. You know, you don't have to worry about everything else. But then there's this feeling where it just kind of makes the plot feel like, okay, then why do I care about this world where another world is absolutely perfect? You know, there's with everything. it genuinely makes the story feel less important to me when you have a bunch of different universes where anything could have happened. I prefer.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It just makes me feel like the stakes don't matter. That's all.
That's fair. I mean, the stakes themselves are always just whatever the hell the plot says the stakes are anyway. So, as narrative things go, I felt like it was still good on that ground, because the only universe that matters in the end is the core universe, the one that we spend all the time in. The question that always came into my mind was when they did hop universes, and we saw that universe's Mordo, who I guess had a full fucking story off screen in the other universe, because Doctor Strange explains this. Yeah, no, he tried to kill me. It's like, when did that happen? What?
I wasn't.
And
I feel like there was something in the first film that alludes to that.
There was an after credit scene where he takes away some dude's magic because he was playing basketball. That was it. Like, they heavily implied that there was going to be a sequel where Mordo was going to be a bad guy, and we never saw anything else of it. So when he shows up in the other universe and he's like, oh yeah, our Doctor Strange, he sacrificed himself, it implies heavily that in every universe, wherever there's a Doctor Strange or a Mordo, that they're played by the same person. So does that mean when they do the Fantastic Four movie in this universe, it's going to be John Krasinski?
I have no idea. Which, by the way, I guess, yeah. Fucking Reed Richards is in this film, played by John Krasinski, like everybody kind of suspected that he was going to be since the rumors started.
He looks right.
Yeah, he looks the part.
You know, for comic books. And Charles Xavier is there, which was, I guess, like a really cool trailer pull at one point. But there was no hint of any other mutants or anything. For a while, when this movie was coming up, I was really worried that they were going to do like a House of M thing.
Oh, no.
Where Wanda was literally going to rewrite reality and just, boink, mutants are here now.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people thought that might happen, but the moment that the moment I knew that we were getting the Illuminati, which was basically the moment they were like, they had a committee scene, like, because in the trailers they kind of show like there's a committee up there, and that fucking Xavier was a part of it. I'm like, oh, they're doing the Illuminati. Mm-hmm. That's fucking weird, because, you know, the Illuminati, first of all, the Illuminati is really controversial in the comic books. Depending on who you ask, they'll either really like them as a concept or really hate them because of what they do to a bunch of the characters. Let me just say that they do some really morally gray shit with beloved
No, they do a lot of bullshit. Like, it's basically Reed Richards' Playhouse. Like, they're the ones that cause Planet Hulk, basically.
Their entire idea was basically stop crime before it happens, which... well, not crime. Stop bad guys.
Disasters.
Disasters, because they're like cosmic level. But
by the way, before you get into that, one part that actually really bothered me when somebody said like, "Oh, we just need to introduce you to the Illuminati." They say we need to introduce you to the Illuminati to Stephen Strange, and he's like, "The Illuma-whatty?" I'm like, "Have you? Okay, that is a word. It is a commonly referred to like conspiracy theory. You know what the fuck it means."
Like, I think I'm wondering if it was supposed to originally, like when it was written in the script, supposed to be kind of like a. You're kidding, right? The Illuminati, right? Because that's obviously absurd that they would call themselves the Illuminati, which it is, by the way. I cannot believe that they thought calling themselves the Illuminati was a good idea.
It's a way to mask their real presence in the world, man.
Yeah.
Don't be a sheep.
But I agree. I had completely forgotten about that fact until you mentioned it. But like, yeah, what do you mean you don't know what the Illuminati is? Like,
you at least know what it means.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry. So when I was talking earlier about stuff that was definitely not Sam Raimi's design, the Illuminati, they were put there very specifically because, well, they're trying to start Secret War, and part of that involves the Illuminati and the multiverse bullshit. And obviously the MCU is trying to pull more from the comics to really kind of hit home with classic comic nerds, which on one hand, I really do appreciate. I like the fact that they are constantly making these really deep pulls. But like I said, one of the problems I have with it is that they are constantly getting deeper and deeper and deeper into lore that's really making it hard for these movies to act independently. But
yes, especially because at the very end, like the post-credit scene, not the post-credits, but like the mid-post-credit scene, we get this shot of, and you had to like look her up on on Google afterwards, but apparently Doctor Strange's multiversal wife shows up.
Oh yeah, that's
and she's like, yeah, we got to fix the shit that you broke. It's like, okay. And here I was thinking like, okay, I don't know who that is. I don't really give a fuck. The thing I expected to happen was Loki to show up from the TVA to like really tie this shit in, you know, because they've already interacted in the past and you're tying into shit that people already know. And so if like Loki walked out of one of those TVA portals, like Loki, what are you doing here? I thought you were dead. There's a lot you don't know and a lot you just broke. You better get the fuck in here and come with me. I feel like that would have been a much better setup for things moving forward. Personally, well, whatever.
The ending of the movie. Okay, we'll get into the ending of the movie in a little bit. I feel like I don't want to jump too far there because I still want to talk about the Illuminati, because the Illuminati scene sucks. Like it just and I mean the initial scene. The scene later, more interesting, still kind of sucks if you think about it. But the initial scene where we get to meet all of them, it's like, whoa, that brings the whole movie to a fucking halt. Like, I mean, a strong halt. Also, wow, these guys are fucking stupid. Like, holy shit, they're all dumb as hell. Like, I understand the idea that Doctor Strange is in and of himself he has proven himself to be a threat. Mm-hmm. But he's still Dr. Goddamn Strange. And when he says, no, this person is a much bigger threat than me, and then they treat her like she's nothing, what the fuck are they doing? Like, Reed Richards is supposed to be one of the smartest people alive. Professor X is one of the smartest people alive. He's the one that believes Doctor Strange. He should be able to read thoughts, but they completely just drop every single ball. It's absurd. It's maddening, actually. And then we see them all die like the idiots that they are. And really,
best scene, Wanda going sicko mode.
Oh yeah, I will say this. Wanda going sicko mode, absolutely what we should call it. Very satisfying, especially when
fucking Black Bolt, man. Just damn, that made me good.
Oh yeah, I heard you. You made an audible noise during their death scenes because they're brutal. Like
she rips Reed Richards into cosmic string, and then his head pops at the end of it. And Black Bolt just all he has to do is whisper, and you'll explode. How will he do that with no mouth?
Yeah. That was shocking. That was
that was the part where it could have gone R if there was this splatter behind him and not just that. Honestly, it almost was a little grosser that the head kind of popped out like a balloon and then sunk back in.
Oh yeah, no, that's the part that makes it truly horrifying. It's the sinking of his mask. That was, oh boy. Although I will have to say this. So before we get too far into it, and I won't delve too far into this topic either, the ability of her powers kind of seems a little...
She can rewrite reality.
Yeah, and the fact that she can just kind of do that, like, I genuinely wish that it was a little bit more easy to understand how her powers work, because throughout the entire film, she is this cosmic horror that fucking stalks them, and I love a lot of those scenes. Trust me,
when she's like walking around covered in blood, just
the scene at the temple, where she starts dragging dudes into the water. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing with Wanda. Dragging dudes
into the water when she's chasing them through the undercity tunnels, and just like, oh man, yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah,
that is everything that I wanted the New Mutants to be, but it sucked. So
I never saw it. I also never saw the TV series that Black Bolt originates in.
Oh yeah, the Eternals or something.
No, not the Eternals, but I forget what it's called. Inhumans. Yeah, I never saw that either. But Black Bolt is in there, so it kind of sucks that, like, obviously the movie does nothing to introduce you to who Black Bolt is. which is a little bit weird. You'd think they might try and cover some of that ground, but oh well.
They tell you what his power is, and that's all that matters. I don't know why he's part of the Illuminati. I guess he's just really strong.
Yeah.
Oh, he is the king of the Inhumans, isn't he? Or something? I don't fucking know.
I actually have no idea. Anyway, point being, her powers are a little bit inconsistent and poorly explained, which means when she does these really, really cool things, it's like, okay, but why don't you just do that all the time? Why don't you just do that with every character? Why don't you just look at a character and remove their ability to breathe? Why don't you just look at them and remove their heart? It's like you can do these things on a whim and then you can't. Like,
it's the same problem that happened when you introduce magic in general. I mean, it's once you have the mystic arts and you don't really explain the rules, it's like they do what they do when they need to do them.
Yeah, it kind of bothers me a little bit because
it's like the Force in Star Wars.
But at least the Force, you can do like lightning, you can make things float, you can change people's minds. I understand everything that the Force can do. And, when they're not just going to introduce some random power because they need it at the time. Thanks, Force healing. Anyway, point being.
It's been in the video games for years.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I ain't playing the video games. I'm watching the movies. Anyway.
You're missing out on Knights of the Old Republic.
But it just really bothers me that when characters' abilities are not made clear, because then they can just kind of do whatever the plot needs to at the time. It kind of reminds me of when they have those scenes where Speedster suddenly goes so fast that time stands still. Yeah, sorry, no. Once you've done that, they're impossible. They're literally unbeatable. They can fight anybody and win. It's why I really, really wish they would stop doing it. It's cool, but it makes no sense. But anyway. It's really kind of a small problem though, because it's not a problem that's all throughout the film. And again, Wanda is a very effective villain, like very effective, maybe one of the best villains in the MCU. As I said earlier, I just kind of wish that her story was a little bit better introduced, because it kind of just made it hard for me to invest myself in her emotionally. And film,
now it's over.
Yeah, and now it's over. And the film doesn't want you to invest in her emotionally. Like they do rely on that a bit. And I will say, even though I do think it kind of dropped the ball a little bit, the scene where she has to confront herself is actually very effective. It's moving. I'm really glad that is how her character is resolved. That's perfect.
I also really like the scene where she first possesses her alternate reality self. Because again, you're getting a lot of that Evil Dead flair, but with a really high budget. Like when she looks into the teacup and it's like the ocean, and so fucking cool. Fucking cool. I loved that.
Yeah, those shots are so fucking good. Oh my God. Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of great looking scenes in this. I feel like I've complained a bunch, and that's only because there's just so many things in the film. The scene where, oh my God, the music fight. There's a scene where Doctor Strange fights himself in another universe, and they use musical notes from what do you call it?
Sheet music.
Sheet music. Holy crap. I mean, I think it could have been done a little better, but it was so cool.
I had to run out and pee at that point. Again, movies need intermissions now.
I actually agree. I think
for me specifically, only me. Just when I need to pause it paused.
Also, the fucking zombie Strange, so good, so good.
Especially when he had like the cloak of death around him, like, oh, that looks sick. Oh, that's fucking cool.
That was fucking awesome.
That's Raimi to a T, because like he looked like a Deadite. It was great.
It's just such a great idea. Like when they say it doesn't have to be a live body, I'm like, oh my God, Sam must have creamed when he I don't know if he
Chekhov's corpse. Not to be confused with Chekhov's real corpse.
Like, first of all, what a great pull. Second, what a great shot. Like the fact that Sam got to do the classic hand reaching out of the grave. Although I will say the body decayed a little bit faster than it actually would have. A little weird there. Cool. Don't care. Looked cool. It was also a little bit funny where it's like, hey, remember, you're Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is like, oh, right, I'll just control these souls. I can do that.
It was very reminiscent of Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans when they're fighting like the villains. It's like, we can't kill them. Guys, they're ghosts.
Ghost warriors.
Oh!
Yeah, and then they beat them immediately. But yeah, it still worked. It still worked. I loved it. It was really cool. I was all about it. All the horror and all the magical shit in this film, perfect. A+.
I want more of it. I wanted more of that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted the film to be about. Not America Chavez and her missing mommies. I'm sorry. I've been really mean to America Chavez. Her actress is really
How dare you be mean to America? America's been so good to you.
You know what? I feel like America could be better.
America could be better, but you know what? The America we have is the America we got. We can try to change it over time, but right now, America's okay.
I don't know. I feel like we could do without America.
Maybe, but that's globalism. Wait, what are we talking about?
Sorry. But yeah, I feel like I've been really, really mean to Chavez. And it's been a little, it's not that, again, she's portrayed well enough. I love her design, actually. Like, everything, she looks cool.
Denim works somehow.
And I'm sorry, the star punches, those are fucking awesome. Like, those, oh my God, they look so cool. But at the end of the day, it's just like, she doesn't belong in this film. And if she did, she needed to be written like she had a actual place, development.
Outside of being a MacGuffin and then dropping her into Hogwarts at the end.
She has no sense of agency throughout the entire thing. So when Doctor Strange is like, no, it has to be you. Why?
Yeah, you have a cloak of souls around you, dude. Go do something cool.
Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Even if she's just a MacGuffin, like, throughout the rest of the film is largely very satisfying. Again, everything that Sam Raimi had more control over is really good, and everything that felt like an MCU mandate was mediocre and just distracting, which makes it worse. That's the problem. If I felt like this was supposed to be a natural part of the film, it might not be as distracting, but knowing what it is, just makes it worse for me. But yeah. I still... Okay, go ahead. I
was going to say, and again, that post-credit scene just makes me drift even further into my feeling of this feels so directionless. Yeah. Because it feels like every character is like, I mean, it's fine that every character is doing their own thing. I don't need everything to be grouped up, but I do feel this need for some sort of through line right now that I'm just not seeing.
But you know what? Let's keep it to this film. We don't have to talk about the MCU.
It's partly this film, though. Like, it's this film's fault that I'm feeling that way.
I mean, that's true. Some people, by the way, brought up the whole scalpel thing about how he needs to not be holding the scalpel, which is why they give it to America Chavez. And what I'm saying is, it doesn't work for me. Like, the whole thing, he has to be holding the scalpel. I'm sorry, but like, if you were going to do that, they needed to do it with a better character than what they gave Chavez. That's my problem. Like, I get that he needs to stop being so controlling and always being the one who's supposed to solve the problems. But they did it with the wrong character, or at least they didn't make the character work for me in the setting that they built. That's the frustration. But, you know, I do love that idea for Doctor Strange. Like, he is very controlling. He has to be the guy who's always handling the issue. I mean, God, if you watch
one thing I thought they were going to get into a bit more was the idea, like they introduced several times throughout the movie, they asked, are you sure that was the only way to beat Thanos? Like, yes. giving up and letting half the people die, was that really the only way? They asked that question, and yeah, we do see an alternate world where he does win by using the Darkhold, which was a concept introduced after Thanos, so not really as impactful as it could have been. But I really thought they were going to introduce the idea of, no, there was another way, but it would have required him to sacrifice something bigger.
Well, I mean, that is what it is. He ended up he ended up wiping out an entire universe to take out Thanos.
Yes, but I mean, without like the Darkhold being the thing, I meant something personal, not grand of scale, but like he would have had to have given up, say, I don't know, like somebody like very personal would have had to have died for him. Throughout the movie, you know, the entire thing between him and whoever the fuck Rachel McAdams is. Christine. Like that's the relationship they're playing with. And I was thinking like maybe they're going to reveal something like on that wall of memory and exposition where it's like, okay, there was another way, but she would have died and he couldn't have that.
That would have been an interesting way to go about it. Although
I thought that was going to be the twist that they played with, where it's like, no, there was another way to defeat Thanos, and but it would have caused a battle in this city, and these people that I care about would have died, and I can't do that.
I don't know if you. Well, remember his whole thing was that he wanted to save everyone, and effectively that is what he does. Mm-hmm. He also causes the blip to happen, but. I mean, he probably looked at what will save the most lives, and if you look at the amount of lives that are lost in the fight with,
exactly, but it's the whole question: needs of the many, needs of the few. If the blip never had to happen, and maybe like 1,000 or so people died because of this battle that would eventually happen, but one of those people is somebody that it's the trolley scenario, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought. They don't spend enough time actually going into it, though, like you said.
Yeah. And like I said, they don't actually do that. It's where I thought it was going. But
which, if I'm gonna be completely fucking honest with you, maybe that's why the whole like can't let go of the scalpel thing doesn't work for me very well.
Yeah, because it has nothing to do with him letting go of control. Which yes, he does have some control issues where he has to be the one to like try to fix everything and stuff. But that's because he has the power to.
Yeah, when he sees into the future like that, which I guess he can't do without the Eye of Agamotto anymore. I don't know. The fact that he sees into multiple timelines and then chooses the one. He already saw all those timelines. Of course, he chose the right one. I mean, maybe there was. He
chose the one that worked for him. Is the thing that I thought it was going to be, though.
Maybe if they had done that, then that may have been that would have been a interesting plot point, but they didn't. So it just kind of makes it sound like no, he did do the right thing, and he shouldn't have given up the scalpel. That's what that sounds like.
It's the Cars 3 scenario where Lightning McQueen gets to have his cake and eat it too at the end.
Yeah. The time stone, right? Yeah, the time stone is how he did it. But yeah, it's I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it's still a good film. It's got some good morals, great use of great cinematography. Again, we've talked about this. It looks pretty as fuck, and Sam Raimi is going whole hog on everything that he can. Although I did want to say, fucking Captain Marvel's death is bullshit.
Yeah, that's the one I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like, she just kind of gets crushed by rocks or something?
Yeah, she gets
rocks
crushed.
Fall, she dies?
Yeah, she gets knocked into a statue, and it falls on her, and she dies. The fuck? I'm sorry, no, that's lame. That sucks. She's Captain Marvel in this film, and she goes out really cheaply.
Poor Monica Rambeau.
I know.
Hopefully she gets treated better in whatever the fuck she actually gets in the MCU.
I believe she's getting a show, if I'm correct. I can't remember what they're using Monica Rambeau for next.
I know they got like a slate of shows coming out soon. They just released the She-Hulk trailer.
Which somebody pointed out, if they were going to make her like all CG basically in the first place, which looking at it, yeah, she's basically all CG. Why didn't they make her buffer? They could have made her buffer.
She-Hulk was never like super like, big.
Yeah,
she was always like.
I'm not saying they needed to make her Hulk size, okay? Obviously, even the comics, most of the comics still make her way buffer than she is. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
It's
who knows?
I'm just saying they had an opportunity for giant buff woman, and they're like, we'll just make her generally like fit and tall and green. It doesn't look great, by the way. That CG also looks. But anyway, it's I don't know. It's oh right, she's I think she's in the next Captain Marvel movie. Monica Rambeau is. Anyway,
right.
But yeah, I don't know. The movie was good, but I would agree it's like a 6.5 for me. It would have probably been close.
It's not the best. It's not the worst.
No, and that's an actual 6.5. A lot of people will be like, a 6. God, you must have hated it. No, a 6 is like above average. Yeah. like, honestly, I could look at things like Black Widow and give it like a 5. And Shang-Chi, which is probably closer to a 6 for me.
Yeah, it's dampened on me over time.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, if you really go back and sit through it, it's amazing the kind of stupid bullshit we just allow in Marvel films. Like, I know that we're supposed to suspend our disbelief, but damn, these films are asking so much of us. A lot of us.
You need to do a lot of research these days for some of these.
Well, not just research, but like, if you're watching Shang-Chi, you can watch Shang-Chi and like not watch almost any other Marvel movie and be mostly okay. Like, there's not a lot that really ties back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Shang-Chi. But
yeah, Wong shows up and we see Abomination, who I guess survived.
Yeah, but like, if you go back and you like rewatch it, there's just a ton of stupid shit throughout. Like, really, just that makes no logical sense shit that we just kind of have to sort of accept for the plot to keep moving. And that
guy just has a sword for an arm.
Guy has a sword for an arm. How about the fact that he actually chose the name Sean and then when his name was Shang-Chi? Like, why would you choose a simple name like that? Why would your dad actively try to kill you when you're apparently necessary for his plot? Like, there's tons of stuff.
There's a lot of weird shit.
There's a lot of really dumb shit in the film that when I was watching it, I was like, I just want this to be good. And I'm starting to get past that now. I don't care. I want the films to be good, but I'm not going to continuously just turn my goddamn brain off anymore, because I want good films. And they're like, we're just going to give you spectacle, and we're going to give you just the tightest enough plot to get you there. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, yeah. It bothers me.
It's something to escape from reality for a few hours.
Yeah.
But I'm also at kind of the point where if there's one thing that, as shitty as 2020 was, I really did like just sitting at home and watching these big, long fucking movies. There's something to be said about some of these movies not necessarily needing to be exclusively in theaters per se. Like, I understand that it's way more profitable, and I know that experience isn't going anywhere as long as it is. But I do like being able to lay on my couch and pause the movie if I need to go take a piss.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I needed to see Turning Red in theaters. I won't lie. By the way, we didn't do anything about Turning Red. Turning Red is really fucking good, y'all. Turning Red is absolutely, definitely one of my favorite. Oh man, between Encanto and Turning Red, some good fucking Disney stuff out right now.
Right on.
I don't know if do you think Lightyear's going to be any good?
The trailer that we saw for it gave me hope in some ways. Like, I mean, it looks cute at the very least. I don't know if it's going to be like super good, but I think at the very least it's going to be Disney mediocre.
Yeah, and Disney mediocre is watchable. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
I think we've said all we're going to say about Doctor Strange and the Mom. So let us know what you think in the comments below, or if you're here in the live chat, feel free. I mean, you guys have been piping in this whole time, but this has been the Talkcast Podshow. Oh?
No, I just realized I wanted to talk about the goddamn backstory, fucking the backstory circles. I'm sorry, I gotta mention this real quick.
The wall of backstory where we see the moms and Doctor Strange.
I understand that they're not in our universe, but the fact that they are in a city where apparently the store will just let you stand on a circle and then it will show your memories. Okay, first of all, why are you projecting it out into the street? God, what if I thought of something that obviously I don't want anyone to see? That is just opening it up to really bad scenarios. God, if you have somebody with PTSD and they're walking,
look, man, I just want to show everybody my threesome. Okay, I want everybody to know.
Look, I'll be right there with you watching, but it's just a little weird that it's just out on the sidewalk. Like, again, these movies want you to turn your brain off so much that they're just going to be, it's almost like they're calling themselves out with how blatantly stupid that is.
Look, it's a Reed Richards invention, and we already know he's an asshole.
Well, Reed Richards is, in fact, an asshole who would make a bunch of completely unnecessary things, spending way too much money to do it. Oh my God, he's Elon Musk.